Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of the NBA-SBL Business Law Weekly. This afternoon, we're going to be having a chat with our immediate past chairman, Mr. Ayuli Jemide. Welcome.
Hi, Inka.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure.
So, for the very few of us who don't know, Mr. Ayuli Jemide, like I said previously, was the immediate past chairman of the NBA-SBL. He's also the founder and lead partner of Detail Commercial Solicitors, Nigeria's first commercial solicitors firm to specialize exclusively in non-courtroom practice. He is what he likes to call a model contrarian, which we'll talk about more later. He finds excitement in championing concepts that go against the grain. He has over 30 years of interaction with public and private sectors, advising on high-profile commercial negotiations, commercial mediation, legislative drafting, and policy advisory projects. He's been lauded as the best lawyer in Nigeria 2013 by the World Finance Awards, a leading lawyer by International Financial Law Review, a top-tier lawyer by Chambers and Partners Global Community. He is also an adjunct professor at IE Business School, Madrid, Spain, where he teaches transactional emotional intelligence. He's an avid writer, having had past weekly columns in This Day, Business Day, and other newspapers, and is the author of a book, Listen Every How Negotiations Work. And this book has awesome reviews. It's been called profound in its message, highly recommended as a guide to everyday professional and personal life, and reflective of the insights that make the difference in negotiations. He's also the creator of a cash flow game called Turns. As you can see, there's a lot to dig into here. In his spare time, he likes to be on the water. He enjoys boats, swimming, kayaking, sun and sea photography, leisure reading, tennis, amongst a whole bunch of other things. We have an amazing hour ahead of us.
Wow.
Right? So the first thing I'm going to ask.
Was that me you were talking about?
No. Of course. AJ as is popularly called. So I'm going to be referring to him as AJ. Nobody should be confused when I say that, please. So the first thing I'm going to ask you, model contrarian. What does that mean?
So there's some people who are just designed to say, why not? Right? And you would recall, Yinka, the first time I met you, we were planning the SBL conference, right? And we had all kinds of debates that were why not debates, right? And I remember I said I wanted the what do you call that? The
lanyard.
Yes.
Yes.
And I wanted them to be printed back and front, because people go to conferences and you are forever helping people, turn the lanyard so you can see their name. And I remember, the event planners, tried to talk me out of it. And I said no, and they've never done it before.
Yes.
So I just, once you tell me that something has never been done before, then I'm interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it means to be a contrarian.
So once you hear this is how we've always done it, you're like,
then okay, I don't want
it's going to be different.
Yes.
So how do you believe that this personality trait of yours has influenced your career, how you work, your leadership style, even maybe your personal life?
I think I see it play out every day. I mean, even the whole ethos of Detail, a law firm that specializes exclusively in non-courtroom practices, is very contrarian, particularly in 2004, 2005, when the firm was set up. It was like, who does that?
Yeah.
I also see it even in my dress sense, and honestly, one of the things I hate is Ashwedi. But these days I'm getting more compliant, and
So how do you show up to people's events?
I always grumble. I said, why must someone tell me what to wear to the event, right? And but these days, I said, well, you know what? let me try and be compliant. But I never get it right with sewing the filler and all that. But yeah, so even my dress sense and the way I write, I just try to put my own voice in how I write. And, I want you to know that it's me. I didn't copy anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about in terms of your leadership style?
Um,
Because you kind of want your employees to conform, but you're also a non-conformist. So how does that balance out?
Actually, when we do interviews in detail and when I'm looking for people to hire for whatever cause, I'm always on the search for non-conformists because I think that that's where the bright ideas come from. And it's actually non-conformists that, bring ideas that move things from A to B and move things from ordinary to extraordinary, right? So even when we hire in detail, we're always looking for people that are slightly out of mode, because we think they will fit well into our environment. And as a commercial lawyer, if you're really going to add value to your clients, you have to be somewhat of a non-conformist in the sense that you always have to think, as they say, outside the box. But I say, actually, you should see no boxes.
Okay, free space.
Because if you think outside, if you think there's a box and then you're able to just get outside the box, then you would applaud yourself.
I like that.
Don't see any boxes.
I like that.
Yeah.
That could be the title of a book.
It could be. No boxes. I should write that down.
You should write that down.
No boxes.
Don't forget to credit me, please, when the book comes out.
You have it all.
Okay, so I had mentioned before that a lot of your hobbies seem to surround water. So what is this affinity for water? Is this where you're from? Is there some sort of puppy water spirit somewhere? What's going on?
No, I mean, well, first and foremost, I grew up in Warri. I grew up in Shell Camp. I had an opportunity to learn how to swim, at a very early age, maybe 6 or 7. So, I've always been a good and strong swimmer. But beyond that, I just love to go to the beach. I just love to be by the water. I think it has a calming effect. And if you've been on the water for a couple of hours, if you go to Takwa Bay, for example, and you're coming back, you feel like you've traveled. It's almost like a staycation, even if it's for 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yeah.
Right. So it does have a calming effect. And beyond that, there's a lot to learn about life from being on the water. Boundaries, for example. If you don't understand boundaries, you will drown yourself. So yeah, that's it really. Yeah.
Okay. One thing that I've noticed in my interactions with you, especially when I've seen you with your family, you seem to be surrounded by creatives. All your family members are very interesting and creative entities, I should say. So it's almost like, was there anything deliberate that you did to surround yourself with all of this? Because you don't consider yourself to be a creative, even though I think as an author, you have to be. But it seems, I don't know, something in the water when you were raising your kids or so. How did that come about?
To start with, as a rule, I don't teleguide any of my children. Right? I just let them be who they want to be. I let them express themselves. And whatever you see is just them expressing themselves. But if you think about where they could have gotten it from, I think it would be from their mother, more than from me. I think my creativity is more versatile and cut across many things, including even my management style.
Yeah.
But not in the sense that creatives defined today.
Yeah.
I can't sing to save my life.
Yeah, not making videos on TikTok. Well, we're going to test your creativity
Yes.
today, which is why we have these our little art paintings.
Okay.
So we're going to see how well you can do. At the end of the talk, we will then judge and see who did it best.
Okay.
Right? So just as we're going through our chat today, we'll
Fine.
just be
So-
doing this.
So
and we'll
this
see
is
how-
mine, right?
That's yours.
Okay.
Sun, sea, and sand, like you love,
Oh, I love that.
with your affinity for water, so
Okay.
that it speaks to your spirit. And then we'll see how it goes at the end of the day.
Perfect.
Right? But I like that you brought up creativity in your management style.
Hmm.
So one thing that I know that you guys do here at Detail is your extra, I guess I should call them extracurricular activities.
Yes,
So
yes.
you guys did like a treasure hunt one
Yes,
time.
yeah.
Another time you did like cooking,
Yeah.
which I find very interesting.
Yeah.
So why do you think that this is important in terms of your management style and even, I guess, of your work culture as well?
Okay, so I mean, Detail has always, when I conceptualize Detail,
Yeah.
I always thought from a culture standpoint, it should be a place where we can do serious things and important things, but have fun.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, I think that every organization kind of borrows the culture from the founder and the leader. And my personality, even though some people think I'm very serious, there's always a playful side to many things that I do, right? So I think that's what I'm trying to instill, and we've tried to instill over the years, that, you know, from time to time, we should just push those files away and have some games and fun and things like that. And it's always very appreciated, and everybody loves it. We all look forward.
Yeah.
We all look forward to it. But there are also important things that we try to take out. Right? First and foremost, teamwork, because it must be a game that you split people into teams. Secondly, healthy competition, you know, because the world is a competitive place, so you must learn how to compete in a healthy way. You know, and then thirdly, laughter. So it must be something that will make
That's
people
fun.
really laugh.
Yeah.
You know, and let's all be in stitches.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when you do that, it helps to build camaraderie.
Yes.
And camaraderie is very important in an intellectual environment.
Yeah, good stuff. Sticking with Detail, we'll go back to its description, non-courtroom practice firm.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, there's history to it, but I'll start with the why, and then I can tell a bit of the history, right? The why is that I frankly think that full service firms are conflicted, my opinion, because if I make money when my client stays out of court and I make money when they go to court, you know, what's my incentive to keep them out of court when, if there's going to be a big case, where I would charge per hour, you know, over 5 years, you know, it's a very subliminal conflict where, you know, somehow or the other, if you're not careful, you find yourself advising the client, yeah, we should sue them, right? So the ethos behind the non-courtroom practice is, here's a firm who, you know, stays on this side of the stream and is trying to make sure that you stay afloat as a business. Focus on doing your business, avoid conflicts. And in the event that you get into a conflict, you know, you make sure that you've worked with a law firm that has helped you dot your I's and cross your T's in such a way that, you know, if you do get into a conflict, your documents are in a row, as they say. And even if the lawyers on the other side read the contracts, they should say, wow, this is pretty clear. We don't think we can
Yeah.
get out of this.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's the ethos behind it. And interestingly, when I started marketing detail, people always ask me, clients would always ask, and once I say, you know, I think your full service law firm lawyer is conflicted, I've had many occasions, not once, not twice, where the potential client will say to me, yes, they never thought about it like that. No one another said, anything we say, you say, don't worry, when we get to court, you know? So just from having this conversation in the early days and even till date, you know, I win clients who just say, okay, we think we should start using you on that basis, right? So
Yeah, spoiling market for some of us.
Well, I mean, there's room enough for all of us, right? But the history behind it also is that I had done my fair share of litigation, right? I hated the system. I hated the courtroom. I hated the objections. I'm someone who just, let's do our case and stop raising preliminary objections, you know. And then, of course, we can't run away from the fact that there's a lot of, you know, corruption. And there was one particular case I was doing, and the judge refused me to tender a document through a witness by himself. He jumped into the ring and says, Mr. Jemide, you are not going to tender that document. And I said, well, I'm the one doing the case. He says, well, I'm the one who's going to have to write a ruling because your colleague is going to object. And he turned to the lawyer on the other side and said, aren't you going to object? And the lawyer said, yes, my lord, I will object. Right? And I said, well, I'm going to tender this document. And I was arguing with the judge as to whether I could seek to tender a document, and he banged his gavel and said, take a date. And, you know, I got out of court, and then there was an older lawyer who came to me and says, Jemide, you're a fine lawyer, but that's not how they do cases in this court. I said, how do they do cases in this court? He said, have you been to see the judge? I said, wow, okay. I said, no. He says, don't you notice that when you come in the mornings, the judge doesn't sit till 10, but he gets here at 9, and people are going in? I said, okay, I noticed that, but I mean, I didn't know what was going on. I said, well, they're going into. And then he said to me something I never forget. He said, the judge said to him that a good lawyer is a lawyer who, after he has finished his case, the lawyer is happy, the client is happy, and the judge is happy. So, you know, I had those, you know, events from time to time, and, you know, I just said, I can't do this. And there'll be times that I have to go to court, and I would say to my wife, I say, if I don't come back, they've probably imprisoned me.
Of contempt of court.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, it's difficult to be calling someone my lord when you know they're not behaving in a like a lord should behave, right?
Have you ever told the judge that he's out of order?
I haven't been opportune. I haven't been opportune to.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that, you know, things like that, you know, and then I went into a merger that failed because I was still trying to do full service firm work, you know, so I didn't want to do litigation. Maybe a merger will solve this problem. You know, it failed in 6 months. So at some point, I heard clearly, woke up one morning, I just heard clearly, start a firm that doesn't do litigation. And it just sat well with me. Yeah.
We already have questions. I should have mentioned at the beginning of the session that if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box, not the chat box, Q&A box, because it will be easier for us to track and address your questions as we're going along. So we already have a question, which is in line with one of the questions that I was going to ask, was how did you build detailed solicitors into what is now a tier 1 law firm? I know that you had mentioned to me that when you did your NYC at a newspaper,
yes,
the legal department,
yes,
right?
Guardian newspaper.
Guardian.
Yes.
But you were also writing articles at the
I
time
was,
for the newspaper.
yes.
So, but I mean, this law, was it always where you wanted to go? Why not? I mean, the writing is something that has stayed with you all the way till today. So was it ever an option?
No, as a matter of fact, after I left law school, I didn't want to practice law. And my dad almost died because he was a lawyer, and he thought finally he had gotten a lawyer in the family. And I said to him, I said, you know, I don't want to practice law. He says, why? I said, lawyers don't make money. I want to go and be a businessman. You know, I mean, I had friends who were, you know, supplying things to Shell, IG, Mobile. They were rolling dollars. Yeah, and I thought, you know, that's the shortcut, right? So finally one day I went to visit him and he looked at me and says, Ayuli, look at you, you're looking so wretched. Obviously, this business is important. And the business wasn't working, and I was always in debt, never. And he says, look, this thing is in your head. Go and do it. You can always do business on the side.
Yeah.
And that's how I came back to law. But to answer her question, or his question, whoever that is, it's a difficult question to ask somebody, how did you build something? Because we are talking about hours, days, weeks, years,
decades
of you know, just building block upon block, right? But perhaps I would say what my thoughts were, right? And, you know, I think the important thing is to envision where you see something going to. You need to be clear. You need to say, in 10 years' time, in 5 years' time, this is where I see this going to, so that there's something in your mind's eye when you come to work every day, right? You also need to be clear around your boundaries, what you want to do, what you don't want to do, the kind of clients you want to attract, the kind of clients you don't want to attract. Some clients are low money, high aggravation. You know, they'll take your time. You know, they'll pay you $1 million, and you know they will aggravate you into the billions, right? So you know, I kind of just had those boundaries, even though it was difficult at first to stay within the boundaries, because sometimes, you know, when the bills hit you, yes, you know, and even when we started this detail, I had offers from people who say, well, you know, I can give you some litigation, but you don't have to do it yourself. Just give it out to someone else to do and split the fees. Right? And I said, you know, I'm not interested. When I decided that I wanted to stop doing litigation and just, you know, go this route, I actually wrote to all my clients. And one of them I remember was Chevron. You know, I was doing about 3 or 4 cases for them, which I hadn't finished. And I wrote to them and I said, come and take your files. Get someone to come so I can debrief them, get another lawyer and all that. And, you know, I got a call and said, is anything the problem? I said, no, just a major change in, yes, you know. And then they said, well, why don't you, you know, finish them, or at least get to a milestone where you can get your next fee, because they pay you this amount and it's 4 times, you know, at the beginning and blah, 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 blah. When it gets to trial, then you get, so why don't you just push this to your next milestone? I said, actually, I have another milestone that's conflicting. And that milestone is that by so and so date, there will be no litigation files in my office. So, you know, and that milestone is more important to me than the money you want to pay me, right? So, I mean, that was just a clear case of, you know, defining your boundaries and sticking with them, right? And everything that's built is built block upon block. If you see something that grows too fast, be wary. You can't put up a building.
Shaky foundation.
Yes, you can't put up a building in one day.
Yeah.
So I think I hope I answered the question.
This a phrase that I always that you said in the past always makes me laugh when I hear it.
Yes.
Leonard polyester. So we commercial lawyers, we're learning polyesters. So I mean, in that line, what do you think is the pinnacle of success or achievement for a commercial lawyer? For the litigators, they become the
And they
learned
become
silks.
learned
Then we that were dressed in polyester,
Yes. Yeah.
what is that level that you get to that you can now call yourself that?
Well, that's interesting. You actually never get to that level.
Yeah.
Because I mean it's a knowledge industry. So intellectually you're ever learning, right? And what you knew yesterday, you may not know today.
Yeah.
Laws are changing.
Yeah.
I was just saying to someone a few days ago, I said, I've never really taken time to read Kama 2020, and so a lot of times I'm still thinking about the Kama that, that I used to practice law for, 30 years, right? So I don't think that anybody ever gets there. And even for the silks, yeah, you become an SN, it's a great title. But if you're still in the industry, you should be looking to do more complicated cases. And, apart from making money, I would assume that you'll be looking for, things that are challenging you more intellectually and all that. But to answer your question, what's the reward? The reward is actually tangible, even though it doesn't come with a title, right? For people who are in the commercial space, you can actually see the results and products of a lot of things you worked on, right? So anytime they talk about the Blue Line Railway, or I drive to Marina and I see that railway line, it gives me a sense of accomplishment and a sense of reward because I worked on that transaction for 4 years, right? So, anytime you help a client to bring money into their business, either for an investment or restructuring, and then the business starts making progress, listed on the stock exchange and, they're doing great things, that could be your own SN.
Yeah. Or PLY.
Yeah. But I think that, the time has come for legal practice to begin to reward people, like the Ayuli, the Aswares, who have, stayed with corporate practice and have added their 2 pence to the legal environment and the economy.
Yeah, that's an objective for SBL to raise with the NBA. See what our version of learned silk will be, whether we can make this learned polyester thing fly.
Yeah, maybe cotton, not polyester.
Natural fibers. Okay, we should start on this so that we have enough time to actually finish.
Okay.
I'm going to throw the current chair under the bus and say that there's a prize at the end for the bets for whoever wins this.
Okay.
We'll get it from him when we see him.
I may actually win this. Let's see.
Okay, while we're starting that, we can move, let's move into your time with the NBA-SBL as our chair.
Okay.
The one thing, we shouldn't have everything now.
Yeah.
So we're going to start this.
We're going to start with this.
Yes. So the one thing that I noticed, because I also was on council at the time when you were chair, is that your themes, I would say, were partnerships and inclusion.
Yeah. And cash.
And cash, yeah. Okay, so partnership, inclusions, and cash. These three themes, do you think adequately cover your time as chair of the NBA-SBL? And do you feel that you achieved them during the time that you were there?
I think so, by and large. And I'd like to talk about achievements based on raw indices. So it's not fluffy. So on the cash side, I mean, you are counsel, you know that we had 30-something million in the till when we came on board. And by the time I was leaving, there was 208 million in the till. So
Yeah.
I mean, I was very, very pleased with that. Because I always believe that, great institutions must have cash. You must have some cash in the till, so that when you want to do events or you're doing partnerships, you don't come in begging, right? When we did things with IOD or stock exchange,
Yeah.
we didn't go and say, here's your share of the money. We paid the bills and invited them.
Yeah.
And people like to deal with you, when you come to the table in that manner.
Cash, yeah.
Yes. Right.
True.
Okay. So the other thing was inclusion, and inclusion had many angles to it. The first angle was to build the membership, increase the membership.
Yeah.
And you were membership secretary. You did a great job, I must say.
Thank you.
Right. So we should applaud you for that. And I can't remember the exact statistics, but I think our membership grew from the late 1000s, 1700 or something.
I believe it was
to about 3000.
200 and something percent.
Yes,
I
to about
remember that
3000.
report.
Yes, yeah. To about 3000, right? If I recall, or 3000 and something, right? And then, paid up members also grew exponentially.
Yeah.
Right? Why was this? We were sending people newsletters. We were giving people a sense that, they belonged.
Yeah.
And then you remember when I came on board, I said sponsorship should be democratized.
Yes.
Right? People can't just sit in a room and say, okay, you bring 5 million, I bring 5 million, go and bring your logo. Everybody who is a paid up member of SBL should be entitled to sponsor an event.
Yeah.
On a first come, first served basis. And I think that opened the door for a lot of firms who thought they would never have their logo on certain events.
Yeah.
Right. So that for me was important. The other thing was, I had always thought that the average age of people on council and doing stuff in SBL, I don't want to say it was old, but could have been younger, right? Yeah, and I tried to push that agenda, and I think I succeeded because the average age of council is pretty much younger, and committee chairs.
Yes.
And, and we're getting more participation from younger firms than ever before.
And the young lawyers.
And the young lawyers. So, yeah, that was it. But the other part of inclusion is, sorry, I talked about inclusion. On partnerships, I thought we needed to focus a little bit on the private sector side, because we were very heavy on the public sector in the past, right? So, yes. So, yeah, I mean, that's why we created all those partnerships with IOD, NECA, Stock Exchange, which I think worked very well.
And I think also even the creation of some of the new committees, for instance, the Regulatory Council and also the in-house.
Yes. That was for inclusiveness too, because I thought that the General Council Committee didn't include lawyers who worked in government space.
Yeah.
Right. So we changed that to include regulatory in the name, and we brought out some people, put them in the ESCO, and I think that worked very well. Everybody was happy with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wish you had more time? The tenure is only 2 years, which goes by really quickly. Was there anything else that you feel, I wish I had, an additional day to just have gotten this off the ground, or ideas that you had that you didn't feel you had time to implement while you were chair?
Truth be told, nothing.
Wow, okay.
Truth be told, nothing. I can't think of anything. I think 2 years is a long time, even though people say it's a short time. To be SBL chair is not, it's a major task.
Yeah.
Right. So if people do it for more than 2 years, the law of diminishing returns will set in. It's just something that you just attack for 2 years, put in your 2 pence and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, have you taken a step back from core legal practice, or are you still engaged full-time?
I'm engaged full-time, but not engaged doing everything, right? So I pick and choose the clients that I get involved in. I'm actually more interested in, you know, things that challenge me intellectually. There are certain things I don't want to see on my table, because, you've done them for so long that you just don't want to be involved in that. So yeah, then I'm also more engaged in, visioning, mentoring.
Yes.
I still do business development, and I still interface with some of the high value clients who I feel I still need to interface with for the benefit of the
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah. So that's it. So I still come to the office. I still do what I need to do.
Okay.
And the reality is that many of the other people who still come to the office in these top tier firms, they're much older than me. I don't want to mention names. So I'm not going anywhere for now.
But you have there are other things that are keeping you busy as well.
Yes.
For instance, you're teaching now.
Yes.
All right. How is that going?
That's going very well. I mean, and teaching has always been a passion for me.
Yeah.
Right. I've just always been someone who loves to impart and loves to think, what's the best way to explain this concept in such a way that people get it, and you create a eureka moment, right? There's nothing that gives me more joy than, talking about something or being in a conversation where people leave there with an aha feeling, right? So that's going very well. I'm an adjunct professor in IE University.
I just want to bring, I want to make sure I get this right.
Yes.
The class that you teach is called Teaching Transactional Emotional Intelligence.
Yes, that's my coinage.
So what is that? Transactional Emotional Intelligence.
Okay, so it's really just learning how to deal with people, right?
Yeah.
And when you think about transactions, people always think, oh, it's people seated in a boardroom, pouring over files and papers and things like that. But it's deeper than that. Almost every encounter in your everyday life is a transaction.
Yeah.
Right. And I tell the story in my class about 2 people who could have been late for a flight and getting to the counter hoping to be boarded. And one person gets boarded, another person is told to go home. What would have happened? If you were a fly on the wall, what do you think? What do you think that person who got boarded would have done differently, right? And we start to have conversations as to what could have gone on, right? And people say, well, the person who was told to go home, just came there and say, I'm a Gold Card member, and
my father.
Yes, exactly. And then they say, well, you are late, Mr. Gold Card. You understand?
Yeah.
Go home with close boarding, right? And and I always paint the picture about the other person who gets there and says, hello, Ayoyinka. Seems like you're having a tough day.
Yeah.
How are you? And Ayoyinka, who is the
At the ticket counter.
ticket counter
Yeah.
says, you don't want to know, some lady just annoyed me or something.
They're
right?
asking me who her father is.
Exactly, and then, at that point, because you have tried to build a rapport with Ayinka is probably going to say, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Right. And then you say, well, I'm late, but it's my sister's wedding. I just need to be on this flight.
Yeah.
And, Ayinka picks up her intercom and says, we have one more passenger, and says, run, right? Just, so what is this? There's a difference in approach.
Yeah.
Right? So transactional emotional intelligence is just a class that teaches people how to build bridges.
Seems
So
like,
that you can get what you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
So soft skills, really.
It's soft skills.
Yeah.
Yes. It is soft skills.
I mean, we can now
Yeah.
segue into your book, because your
Yes.
book seems to also be soft skills based, because
Yes.
you're teaching about negotiations.
Yes.
And the title was interesting to me right from the very first time that I saw it. Listen every how.
Yeah.
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 What's that about?
So, listen everyhow is really that when you come into conversations, you need to learn to listen everyhow, and everyhow is everyhow. Listen with your ears, listen with your eyes, listen with your gut, listen to what the person who is talking is saying, listen to what the other people in the room who are not talking are saying with their bodies, right? So if you say something, I should look at the members of your team to see how their facial expression changes. And, unfortunately for many of us, we can't hide our facial expressions, right? So if you say something and, your colleague sitting on your right does this or gasps, it tells me that, you just flew as a kite.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's a book that's heavy on listening, how to listen,
Yeah.
and what to listen for, particularly what's not being said.
Right.
That's the most important thing. What I think is not saying.
What I'm not saying.
Yes, because once I can know what you're not saying, then I know how to navigate.
I have to be very careful around you with that non-verbals.
Yes, 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 yes. I always teach in a class at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. I put something on the screen, which is a rhinoceros, right? And I say to them that, and that rhinoceros always looks the way they look. They don't smile. They don't frown. They just, poker face.
Yeah.
Right. And so I say to them, you always have to learn how to keep a poker face, when certain things are said.
This class, you're teaching it virtually, right? So
No,
are you?
It's actually physical.
Oh, okay.
So I go to Madrid, and then teach out of the classrooms.
Nice.
Great kids, a lot to learn.
Do you need a teaching assistant? I can go on the next trip with you.
Yeah, I won't mind that.
Okay, so sticking with the book writing, I know there's some unpublished books in storage. Are we gonna get another one soon? There's one that I had seen in something I read called Bee and Ants, which the title already is gripping. I don't know what it's about, but are we gonna see that one soon?
Probably that or something else. There are like 2 or 3 in my head. So I'm just doing all the mind maps to see the one that's most interesting after I finish doing the mind maps.
Would you mind giving a teaser on Bee and Ant? Because I was very curious when I saw Bee and Ant. I was like, I wonder what it is that you're talking about now.
Well, it's actually about the management skills that you can learn from the ant.
Okay.
That's as much as I can say.
Okay.
But there's a lot to learn from the ant.
So we should look
in terms of management skills.
Okay. So we'll look out for that one.
Yes.
I vote for that one. I haven't not heard anything about anything else, but that one sounds very interesting. Okay. Oh, we have questions.
How did you make your blue light?
So I mixed the
mixed
dark
it.
blue with the
Should I
white.
be asking you? We are competing.
I will help you because I'm a nice person, but at the end of the day, it should be when you're voting,
Okay.
please remember that I did half of the work on his own painting, so that vote should go to me. Thank you.
Okay.
So we have oh, okay, this is interesting. Someone wants to know how to get a copy of your book. I believe it's on Amazon.
Roving Heights.
Okay,
Roving Heights.
physical copy.
Physical copy, go to Roving Heights, book online, they will deliver to you.
Okay.
And if they've run out of stock, just let me know and we'll restock them.
Nice. Okay. Someone wants to know what led you to choose "We pay attention to details" as sort of your motto at DCS. I think you kind of touched on this a bit, but
Okay. I think it's more of an action point, even beyond just a motto. Because this is what we really do. We just dig ourselves into the minutia and try to extract value for our clients as we go along.
Okay. Osel Kweku is asking, am I asking AJ to retire? No, I was not. I was just asking how things are with him now. Michael Chuku says, thank you very much for the insightful, simple conversation. I would be pleased to learn what influenced Mr. Jemide's perception about law practice and running a law firm. What influenced your perception about law practice and running a law firm? And what are your values in dealing with your clients and with your lawyers in-house?
Okay, I think I've dealt with what influenced
Yeah.
And the detail and all that. But values, I think the number one value is respect. We're very high on respect as a firm.
Yeah.
We like to respect people internally, irrespective of your cadre. So when it comes to respect, we don't see any cadres. You respect anybody from the person who serves UT to the lead partner.
Yeah.
We also like to respect our clients, and most importantly, we expect them to respect us. So we're a law firm who has in the past written checks to clients. Yes, not once, not twice.
Okay.
Yes, those days when there were checks. Even now when there's transfer, it's easier, right? So, when clients begin to behave in a particular way that we feel this is very disrespectful, we call a meeting and transfer your money to you.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes we lose money because maybe we've started the work, but I'd rather lose money than have clients denigrate me or denigrate any of the lawyers.
Yeah.
We don't tolerate it at all, right? And we've lost some clients because we've told them this is it's not on. Yeah.
I mean, that's good and brave in this economy.
Yeah. The other thing in terms of values is just plain old integrity.
Yeah.
We sack people in detail for lying, and there's no big lie, small lie. We've sacked someone before who was on leave, and they called this person and said, "Where are you?" She was in Ibadan. Rightly so, because she's on leave. And she says, "Oh, I'm in Lagos." And they say, "Okay, please go to the office and go and get something."
Yeah.
Then the story changes. Why are you lying? There was absolutely no need for it. Right? And by the time you interview the person and other people then begin to say, well, yeah, we noticed that she fibs a lot, right? Because the reality is, if you have people who fib and then they do that to a client, the client will say, don't mind those people at detail, they're all liars.
They're always lying.
Yes. So, and anyway, it's hard work, Ayinka, to keep second-guessing you if you lie to me every day.
Yeah.
Anything you say, I will say, Ayinka said so, but can you get someone else to cross-check? I mean, why would I want to live my life that way?
I completely understand.
No, but even if you even if you are the best lawyer with a half
Yeah.
class from Harvard, you know, it's
Half
half class from Harvard.
I like it. No, but I mean, I understand what you mean because
Yeah.
it speaks to your integrity.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a
Yeah.
situation where we had a very brilliant lawyer, which is super creative.
Yes.
This is somebody that you can tell her about, you can tell her, oh, we discovered aliens on the moon. Let's know how we're going to legalize it. And she'll come up with something in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But, I remember I asked for an email, was an email sent to somebody.
Yeah.
And she forwards me the email that was supposedly sent.
Mm.
But she had gone down to the trail and changed the date and the time.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? And got cut out, and it was a shame, but
yes,
we let her go.
Yeah, of course you have to. And talking about emails, there was one guy once that we sacked, and every time you say, "Have you sent email?" He say, "I sent it." He has sent it.
And he just said it after he finished.
Nobody has received it. So I called him one day. I said, "Why are you the only one in this office that your emails are always hanging somewhere?" So, and then this last one, you say you sent it. Okay, bring your laptop. You must show it to me in your outbox. The story changes, right? The story changes. And of course, then he said, well, he didn't quite send it. He was planning to send it. And those kinds of people, we don't even give notice and say, leave next month.
Yeah.
You leave immediately, right?
Okay. The questions are rolling in. Someone wants to know, this is from Olukemi Shomoye. Sorry if I am pronouncing that wrongly. On mentorship, can you be approached, or do you select mentees? So do you find lawyers that you think, oh, I'd like to mentor this person, or are you okay with people coming up to you and asking if you could please mentor them? Because I'm sure you're selective in the process.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to people who approach me. Quite frankly, I don't think that mentors should select mentees. I think mentees should make themselves available and indicate an interest. Because you're not going to select someone who doesn't want to be mentored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right?
Their objective
yes,
not actually mentoring.
So yeah, I'm open as long as I see that there's something that I can bring to you.
Yeah.
And if I think that someone else will probably do better in helping you achieve your objectives, I've done this many times. I'm always happy to refer you and say, look, I think you should go to that man or that woman, but that said, there's only 24 hours in a day, so we have to decide how we spend our time and who with.
Of course.
So it sometimes it can be limiting in terms of mentoring.
Okay. There's a question from Kayode Nisi Joshua, which is very interesting because it's almost like he looked at my notes. It's almost an exact same question that I have for you, which has to do with what I call the new legal landscape. Law is not as it was when you started out practicing 30 plus years ago. It's very different now.
Yes, it is.
We have digital firms. We have a lot of new areas of law.
Yeah.
But in the, let's call them traditional firms, you also have, I'll call them, I don't want to say a new breed, but a new style of lawyer, right? We hear about, Gen Z interactions all the time.
Yes.
They have a different ethos, I think.
Yes.
They work differently. They think differently. So how internally have you been able to bridge this gap, traditional versus Gen Z, for lack of a better phrasing?
We're very interesting times, Arinka, because for the first time, we have 5 generations in a workplace. So Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, boomers.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting period. And I think this is a period that calls for flexibility from all generations.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're all wired differently. I'm Gen X, we are lateral thinkers. So if you come to a Gen X with a problem and you say, how do we solve this problem? Gen X will ask you, why did the problem arise in the first place?
Okay.
While a Gen Z will say, who cares about why the problem arose? We just want to solve it, right? Because for them, everything is a microwave.
Yeah.
Right? Press a button, solve it, right? But Gen X, we want to solve the problem so we don't have to come back to talk about it in the years to come.
Treat the source.
Yes, exactly. And we're more interested in sustainability, not sustainability in the way it's defined now, right? The nature and the earth and pollution and all that, but sustainability in the sense that if you do something, it should last.
Yeah.
Right. So you see all these nuances, even things as little as some people like the screen. I still like paper, Arinka. I still like to print things and have different colors of pens, and do my scribbles with pencils, pens, and flip. I hate to go to restaurants where they tell me I need to scan the QR code, right? Because scrolling is hard work. You scroll up, you scroll down, you scroll up, you scroll down. Say, okay, I saw the salmon here. Scroll down, scroll. But the side, it's further down. Scroll. Right? So I want a menu that I can just flip and flip and flip. Yeah. I can even put my finger here and say, yeah, I need a salmon on this page. Let me see what I would have for dessert. You understand? Right? So yeah, but if I did that in certain places, you are old school.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the bottom line is nobody should be of any school. We're just in life school.
Yeah.
Don't call somebody old school, newbie. Do you understand? We should all cohabit and learn from each other. And I think I'll stop there at this point. Yes.
So that's internally.
Yes.
Externally, how do you think that new wigs, young lawyers, and then even the traditional older generation lawyers, how are they able to, or how should they adapt to survive in this really quickly evolving legal landscape that we have? I mean, we've got things like AI law now. We've got the startups are coming with really creative, innovative things.
Yeah.
How do you, let's say with the old hats, how do they keep up? With the new wigs, how do they plug in?
One of the best things you can do for yourself as an entrepreneur or lawyer or whatever is to surround yourself with people who know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And constantly learn from them. Right. So if you know that you're tech finicky, surround yourself with people who are the other way inclined, right? So that you can improve your attitude to technology, right? At least once in a while they'll tell you, this thing is not so difficult. Why don't you try it? Right? And then you try it and find out that it's not so difficult.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we all have to be constantly, students of what the world throws out at us.
Yeah.
Right? Because if everybody's moving and you are static, you're actually regressing,
Yeah.
So that would be my advice in a nutshell. I think this thing you are doing is too nice. I have a feeling you practiced. I have a feeling you practiced before you came here. I think this is you picked something that you are good at. Then you want to come and compete with me. We should do this we should do this like a game of golf where I should be rated to my handicap,
Aha.
right? You know, because
Okay.
it seems like you're a professional. So, you know,
Don't worry. What we can do is just have a series. I keep telling you this.
Mm.
So now this is game one. You've already conceded, it seems.
no, I'm just saying
So
that
just the next
I'm
one,
working on it. I'm working on it.
you come up with the next competition and then we'll see how it goes.
Okay,
We'll do golf.
maybe we'll go and pot, do some golf potting. If the cameras will follow us, I can just, you know, see whether you are good at that. You probably would be good. Yeah.
Let's
So-
see. We have, okay. What do you do when a client whom you have proposed retainership with comes back with a counter offer requesting that you recommend or assign one of your lawyers to their company who would be on a salary employment? You need a non-circumvention.
That has happened to us a few times, and the lawyers never came back.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's always the way.
But it's a catch-22, I think, right? Because, you know, you think to yourself, well, you want to keep this client if you don't, you know. So it's torn between the devil and the deep blues.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the income that you generate from that secondment could be worth your while.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a situational decision. There's no right answer. You just how important is the client? How much are they paying? What's the likelihood that this person will be poached? And in the event that that happens, you know, how's it going to affect your firm?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have one last question, and we're right on the 1 hour mark.
Yeah.
And so thank you to myself for keeping to time.
Yes, yes, you have tried.
Is there anything you feel you still haven't achieved? What is there anything left to do? Is
Ooh.
there anything that's missing that you think in this time, let me see if I can achieve this, or I wish I had time to do this?
There's plenty. I think.
Ooh, let's
There's
go.
plenty. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know where to start from. There's plenty. I can't even count. My to-do list every year is always pretty long, and this is my to-do list in terms of personal development. So to start with, I'm applying to do an executive PhD somewhere, just to you know, sharpen and deepen my mind even further. Because I realized when I went to business school, the way I started thinking was many notches above how I was thinking before I went, right? And, you know, talking about creativity, I think I do have a creative mind. So I think a PhD will help me. I have many more books that I want to write. And, you know, that's on that side. I'm beginning to have a penchant for charitable work. You get to that point. You know, a few days ago, I went to visit someone, a friend of mine. I call him a friend. He was an electrician who worked on, you know, a site where I was renovating a house that I was going to move into, and his leg was swollen. So I said to him, I said, you need to go and check this out. Long and short is that he had kidney problems, you know, and now he's on dialysis and all that. So I went to Lagos State General Hospital, Marina, to go and visit him. And, you know, in the course of conversation with the social worker, there, it turns out that they had only one dialysis machine, and the machine is crawling. It's almost at his wit's end, is about to die, right? And they said they need another dialysis machine. And by the time I came home, I had crafted a text message, WhatsApp, that I started sending to people. And someone called me late last night, and they said, we'll buy two. Yeah, it's 14 million each. And they said, you know, we'll buy two. You know, so I called the social worker. I said, well, someone has offered to buy two machines. I had put some money towards it, and I was looking for co-donors, right? So I said to her, I said, well, find me patients who can pay their bills. So I find myself, doing a lot of that and active and hands-on, right? Yeah, I think I will stop there for now. The rest you will see as the years
As
go
it
by.
unfolds. Okay. So well, we've spoken to the young lawyers, we've spoken to the old hats, we've touched on what you have left to do.
Yeah.
So bringing it back to NBA-SBL as now a godfather, any advice, direction? What do you think about what we've been doing, this new council has been doing? And what do you think we should be doing?
Well, I think council has been doing perfect job. Near perfect. There's no perfection. And these fireside chats, I've been following them, and just the visibility that a lot of events has given to the NBA-SBL. And I can see that there's the drive for inclusion has even grown in exponential proportions. Yeah, but in terms of what people should be doing, I really think that, let me start from what you should not be doing, right? Institutions have a life of their own, and they are built block upon block, right? So, what happens to institutions that are working sometimes is somebody comes and they pull all the plugs. And don't get me wrong, I'm an agent for change. But that said, it has to be constructive change. It has to be going forward change, not regressive, right? So, SBL has been built in such a way that there are structures in place. If we keep those structures that are important, the governance structures and all that, and any council or chairman that comes, just, you can top up on it, but don't pull them down, right? Then add your own ideas and we'll all be fine.
So continuing. Okay. I think he's answered this question already. What do you do aside from law? I think he's spoken quite a bit on all the other things that he does outside of strict legal practice. Oh, okay. I missed this. Someone wants to know if you have any regrets about leaving litigation. I'm thinking of pivoting away into purely commercial practice, and would love the perspective of someone who's broken ground doing this.
Absolutely no regrets. I think that's one of the best decisions I took my whole life. Absolutely no regrets. And, even today when I have to deal with litigation issues from time to time, it's still a pain.
Okay, so I think that he's giving you the green light, Rogochukwuani. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat box. No? Okay. So we just want to say a big thank you to Mr. Ayuli Jemide for his time this afternoon. It's been a very interesting conversation. If you have any other questions for him, you can always just send it through to the Secretariat, and we will see how best we can address that. So thank you everyone for giving us your time this afternoon. We're going to have a poll now. Well, I mean, he's conceded, but
I didn't concede. We have different styles.
Okay, that's
we have
fine.
different styles.
You're more of a minimalist.
Yes, exactly.
So we have a poll up now. So for everyone to please judge, do we have it in there? Can you see both? Okay. So please judge, let us know who did it best. And then our chair is going to give us a prize, give the winner a prize. We might consider a runner-up prize, but
I'll give myself a prize.
Give
So
again, are you conceding?
no, I'll give myself a prize for winning. I'll give you a runner-up prize.
A runner-up
Yeah.
prize. Okay, I know it would be a good one. So
Yeah.
it's, either way, either way. So the votes are coming in. Please, we're encouraging you keep voting, particularly for myself. Thank you, thank you. So thanks everyone. It's been a great afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
So who won? Who won?
Oh yes, yes.
Who won?
Is the poll done?
Yeah.
I'm seeing it's.
Who won?
Let me not preempt the judge. Let's see. Turn it around. I can see.
Tell us, Rex.
Rex, we can't see it.
Who won? She won.
No, but does it have the number of votes? Yes.
53%.
I got
53.
53%. Thank you.
Against what?
Against the Leagues.
I
Thank you.
tried.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll give you an autographed copy of my book.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. I love it. And please put me on the waiting list for B&R. That's the one I'm looking forward to as well. Awesome. Thank you. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.